Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I hope you had a cozy, harmonious holiday season. And if you hadn't, let's talk a moment about holidays and these sort of global or national holidays and events like that. Let me tell you this. I think it's important to say that Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, Easter, and whatever it is, should look a certain way. That's how it's sold to us, right? Like there needs to be a tree, just as one example. There need to be presents under the tree. There needs to be a meal that looks like that. People need to be dressed up like that. The house needs to look like that. And if that's not something that is accessible for you right now, or maybe even that's not something that resonates with you, you're wrong. Well, no, you're not wrong. You're not successful enough. You're not rich enough. You're not good enough. It's just something that's sold to us as an idea of, oh, it should look like that. And you know what? If it makes you happy, great. If it makes you truly happy to celebrate in those ways, fine. Like, I respect that. And then, if it doesn't, that's okay too. And if it's not accessible for you, but you think that's how those holidays should look like, and you're ashamed if it doesn't look like that for you, or if it cannot at the moment look like that for you, it's not your fault. And it's also nothing to be ashamed about, because when we're being sold that image, that really creates in us pressure and possibly shame, if it doesn't apply to you, or if it doesn't look in your household like that. And I think it's so important to realize that holidays, in my eyes, are there to take a break, to be with whoever you love, whoever loves you. That can be blood family, that doesn't have to be blood family. You can spend it with the people that you really care about and that care about you, that nurture you, that you nurture, that respect you, that you respect. And sometimes I feel like we're putting so much pressure on ourselves to get it all right. But there's not one way. There is only your way. And this Christmas I realized, maybe you're hearing the birds in the background. It's like a really gloomy day today. This Christmas I realized, I love my family. And I still don't like to spend those holidays at home, because to me, we're never doing anything that fills me up, to be honest. I like to see them and spend time with them, but I feel like I'm having more fun spending those holidays or special days, with people that feel more aligned to me. And I used to feel a lot of anger and shame around, not having Christmas like it's sold to us, with a big family around the table, and you're playing and you're singing and you're doing all those things like on TV. But I kind of found peace that this is not the reality for me, and I'm not longer angry about it, because I know that everybody shows love differently and everybody's dealing with something within. So I feel like it's so important to respect where everybody's at and to realize, whoa, I can make my own choice. That doesn't mean I don't love certain people or whatever. It just means that what would feel really good for me. Yeah. And maybe that means not eating that much or choosing to eat something else. or choosing to give presents from the heart that are self-made rather than, the most expensive ones. It's also the values that you carry within you, and if you don't know what your values are, maybe you can check in with yourself and see, what do I really value in myself, but also in life, in experiences, in holidays, in other people, because when we become clear and aware of what we really value, that's like the base for us to make decisions. So if you don't know what you value, I strongly recommend you to check in with that. I'm actually working right now on a little journal for you that you can just download and do all those exercises. Sometimes I was thinking sometimes it helps to just have something where you can fill in the gaps and understand a little bit better with graphics and so on what I'm talking about. So I'm creating this right now for you, and I hope it's going to be helpful. It definitely helped me a lot. So stay tuned. I will post it below. And so I just really want to make you think about and feel into really, what do you want? What feels good for you in your body? When you tune out of the environment and all the things that everybody else seems to want, that you that you compare yourself to, what really resonates within? Because it really has to do with being honest to yourself about what you want. And sometimes that's hard when we feel like, oh, I should want something else. What's wrong with me? Because everybody else wants the things that everybody else wants. Why do I want something else? Why do I feel different? Well, let me tell you why. Because you are on your journey to individualize. And that doesn't mean to separate. It simply means to recognize truly who you are. And by recognizing that, we can, find peace. We can find union with ourselves. But then also find more grace and respect to say, that's my boundary. And that boundary doesn't need to be a harsh one. It can be a soft one, no matter how anybody else responds to it. And you can just be like, you know what? This is it. This is who I am. And I respect you, and I wish you to respect me. That's a journey that may not happen from today to tomorrow, right? So give yourself time, but also check in with what you want from your heart, not from your ego. And the ego is not a bad thing, but our job in this whole self-discovery journey is to see where our ego is, let's call it impure or conditioned. Yeah, where our ego is conditioned towards scarcity, hatred, fear, those kind of things. And we want to purify it and decondition it for our ego to respond in our favor, to act in our favor. So if those intrusive thoughts are coming up in your mind, then just know this is your ego trying to protect you, obviously, your physical you, and how you're being perceived from the outside world. But that is actually not necessary. What is more important is for you to get in touch with your heart and with understanding, who am I? If this is something you want to do. Not everybody wants to do that, but if you clicked on this video, I imagine you're curious about, self-growth, inner growth, healing, these kind of things. So for me personally, it was a journey to understand. I mean, life is always a journey, right? It never ends until our body says no. So for me, it's been a journey of understanding that I can be myself and that I'm lovable and a good person and, you know, all those things, and I'm enough and I'm not too much and all that. And it's been a deconditioning process of my mindset, healing my inner wounds and taking action, authentic action. That's why I started also my YouTube channel, authentic action based on my heart's desires. And that is sometimes hard. I saw a few comments from you guys where people are saying, yeah, but you know, I don't dare to do the things that I want. And I'm afraid that if I do, I will be judged and so on. And I think what we need to do is make peace with that we're not for everybody and that that's okay, because maybe when you were younger you learned that you need to be liked by everybody to be safe, or maybe you learned that you need to be liked by a certain person in your household, because if not, then there's chaos or there's conflict or there's danger. And when we've learned these things, sometimes we're not even aware of the fact that we behave based on that conditioning. You know, when I work with you guys, when I work with clients in one-on-one sessions, you tell me like a quite like general problem, like I don't know how to earn money, or I don't know what I want in life, or I want a partner or something like that. But then when we go deep to the root of that sort of higher level problem, it always comes down to the relationship that you have with yourself based on what you observed or what you witnessed or what you have been exposed to growing up. Because those young years are very formative, and I usually work with you guys in parts work, in inner child work, and that has to do with those inner parts of ours that maybe learned that we're not good enough or too much or not appropriate or a bad person or not lovable, and all these beliefs. And these beliefs are always connected to a wound that was created, a rupture that can have happened in a small moment or in a big moment or over a period of difficult experiences and situations and confrontations. Yeah. So, yeah. What I want to tell you as well, what came up in my meditation earlier as a share that today, Vanessa, was watch your thoughts. Observe your thoughts, because your thoughts can make you or break you. Even if you're an adult of 20, 30, 40, 50, 70 years old, it doesn't matter. You know, sometimes it's really about being in the present moment and, you know, noticing like a witness the shatter that goes on in your mind, the thoughts that are coming up in your mind. You know, I know also a lot of you watching are dealing with anxiety. So when you hear those intrusive thoughts of, oh my God, I'm gonna die, or oh my God, that's so scary, or I cannot breathe, or whatever. Or even if it's thoughts like, oh, I look ugly, or I'm not good enough, or I could never do this. Yeah. Become aware of those thoughts, because the power that you have lies right now in the moment. You know, we can only change things in the moment. We cannot go back in time, and we can also not, you know, secure that the future looks a certain way. Yeah, but we can take action right now. And there's another moment right now. It's only right now, right? Basically, tomorrow never comes, because tomorrow will be right now as well. Yeah, and we have only power right now. And if you want to use that power that you have right now in taking action, because we're in a 3D world, that means what we feel, what we think, requires action for a change and for going into the direction that we want. So action is something that is really important in the world that we live in. And sometimes action means inaction, doing nothing when you wanna do everything. And sometimes it means taking action, like really going for it when you are actually afraid to do it. And then it's also okay to make little steps. And in this case, when I tell you about observe your thoughts, that is an action in and of itself. Observing your thoughts, and that can be like uncomfortable. This morning, I feel like I'm going right now through a very interesting shedding, let's call it, where I'm stepping more into a part of myself that I have felt a little shy about and haven't really integrated for many years. And so now I'm stepping more into that part, and I feel often when you do that, there will be your mind, your ego wanting to protect you. So that means your mind or your ego, which is basically working together, is basically saying, why are we doing this? Oh my God, we haven't done this for years. Or we shouldn't do that because that's not safe, or that's not appropriate, or that's got to be judged by somebody. So when you hear those thoughts, you can actually go in and say, okay, thank you for worrying about me, because you realize I'm not my thoughts. So when you take a step back energetically and you're kind of like, okay, I'm thinking this. Okay, why am I thinking this? Oh, I'm trying something new, or I'm taking steps towards my path, or I'm making progress on my path. I'm doing something new. In those moments, what we need to really do is acknowledging our thoughts rather than being overly identified with them. Because when we're overly identified with them, we become stuck. We become, unable to take action, and we may freeze. Or we may freak out and stop everything. This is when that idea of self-sabotage kicks in. Like I said in the last video, I think it was, when we get afraid and a part of us is not on board, then we may stop and not keep on going because it's too scary to do so. So in that moment, when you're observing your thoughts, it's so powerful. I cannot tell you how powerful it is to observe your thoughts and say, okay, I'm thinking that. That's why I'm feeling like I cannot breathe, or that's why I'm feeling my body tense up. So the quickest thing to change something there is to relax your body. Even if anxiety comes up, you will notice that your body tenses up. So the best thing you can do literally in that moment is taking a deep breath and relaxing your body. Even if the thoughts are still intrusive, focus on relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your belly, maybe laying down, relaxing your neck and dropping your jaw. And you will notice that your mind will get confused because it's like, wait, but we're scared or we are afraid or whatever. Why is my body relaxing? And it's very interesting because as your body relaxes, those thoughts sort of calm down a little bit when you keep on focusing on relaxing. So when I used to have panic attacks, the first thing I would do is focusing on breathing slowly and relaxing my body. And as I focused on relaxing my body, the panic came down because, the mind didn't have anything to attach to, like, oh, my body's tensing up. Oh my God, I cannot breathe. Oh my God, my heart is racing. But when you focus on relaxing your body and your intrusive thoughts calm down a little. So that is for the acute, for like the real difficult moments where your thoughts are really taking over and disturb you heavily. And then the other thing is really listen to your thoughts. Become the observer. And I wish I had another way to describe that. So if you have a question about it, just put that below and I try to find another way. But it's really like listen to those thoughts. Maybe even write them down and read them back to understand, that helps me. I usually talk about it with a friend or I write them down or I even speak them into my phone and listen back. And then I'm realizing, oh my God, what? And then I notice, oh, this is really like old childhood fears or chatter that is not really relevant anymore, but is still coming up. And it makes me realize, oh, okay, I'm ready to let this go. Or it helps me understand what's going on below. So I would really, advise you to listen and maybe document in some way, not excessively, but just understanding these are the thoughts that I think repeatedly. And like I said, your thoughts can make or break you. So this is so powerful to actually get them out and read them, and from your adult self, observe them and say basically, who is this? Is this my mom? Is this my dad? Is this my inner child, my inner teenager? Which part of me is having those intrusive or, negative thoughts that are not supportive for you? So this is something I would really recommend you doing, especially right now as we're going into the new year, or really at any time, whenever you watch the video, it's always relevant. But this is going to be important for 2025 because it's really a year of authenticity. It's really a year of stepping into your purity, in the sense that it's like there is no more room for, like those masks and not daring to be yourself. And I'm not saying that to make you feel afraid. There's nothing about it to make you feel afraid. It's actually to empower you. And by getting in touch with your thoughts and noticing what you're thinking, and maybe also noticing, okay, what happens in my body when I think those thoughts? Am I getting like tensed up? What is happening in what part of the body? Maybe you can practice noticing that. Even when you write it down and you think that sentence again, what happens? Does your throat close? Does your heart race? Does your belly drop? What is happening? Do you get sad or moody or angry, or what is happening, And by observing that, we can change it, and you can actually tell yourself a different story. So if you tell yourself, oh, you didn't do that again, you're a loser or whatever, you can ask yourself, whoa, this is harsh. Why are you being so harsh with me? Who taught you this harshness? Yeah, and maybe you write it down, and maybe you notice the voice from somebody else. Yeah, and maybe you notice, whoa, I wouldn't speak like that to my friend or my child or my partner. So could I create a little bit of compassion for myself? What would that look like? And if no, why? Why not? Where am I worse than others? Why do I not deserve my own compassion? And this is how you start unraveling those stories. And what is the alternative story you could tell yourself? Yeah, what is a supportive story? Something like, oh, I'm not there yet, but you know what? Like, taking a deep breath, I know I'm a little afraid, so let me go slow. I don't need to do it all in a day. Let me go slow, and I will do every day a tiny bit. And I will do my best every day. And sometimes my best is like this. 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 Okay? And I'm not going to judge me for it. Because as a child, I had a strict home where I was supposed to, and I'm making this up, by the way, but I'm just want to giving you an example. Because I had a strict home where I was supposed to, or expected to, do things right now in the exact way without any mistakes. There was no room for mistakes. So if you had a harsh parent like that, obviously you're being harsh on yourself now because you internalize that voice. And there's not everything bad about that part that is speaking with that harsh voice, right? Like you probably developed a sense of quality and a sense of, time management and all these kind of things. So there's always two sides to the coin. There are good qualities, even of the harsh parts. And then there are qualities that are in the shadow. So those shadow qualities are just parts of you. It's just part of that part of you that, is in pain or that has a wound. And so looking at that part of you that spoke that internal sentence, not as an enemy, but as an ally, and you're trying to basically have that part see or reconnect with that part and create inner union. A lot of people speak about, and I said this a few times in those videos, but a lot of people speak about part of you needs to die and all that. I'm not a big fan of this idea because it again speaks to separation. I feel like we need to speak to union and act towards union within ourselves and the world, because look at the world. There's a lot of separation, there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of pain and wounding. And when we start creating inner union and start listening to those inner dialogues and inner fears and inner parts really that are creating that dialogue within us, that's how we create union. And we're coming at it with curiosity and with the desire to integrate. Because there's no part of you is wrong. It's just about learning to understand where those parts are coming from, what wounding those parts have. Yeah. Okay, so check in with your thoughts. Make this really a practice. Also with your values, not just for your holidays, but who do you want to spend time with? Ask yourself, who do I want on my table for my birthday? Who do I want on my table for Christmas or Hanukkah or New Year's or whatever? Yeah, and does this decision come from a natural, authentic, heart-led place? Or does this decision come from ego and the desire to be somebody in the world? There's a huge difference. And with my family on this Christmas, I was there not for love, I was there from love, because I could have done something completely different too. But I just decided, hey, my family members also get older and older, and I just decided I want to be there for them. That's maybe not my favorite location to be or my favorite thing to do, but I just felt in the mood to give and to be there from love without expecting them to give me something or them to act a certain way. And so, yeah, that felt pretty good. And I reduced my time there also to only 3-4 days, which is also, you need to think about, I'm sharing that because I want you to think about what do you need. And based on that, set boundaries and, find a way to accommodate your needs as well. It's not my needs or their needs. It's a bit like, what are my needs? And if you have a family or if you're celebrating with certain people, maybe you can find a symbiosis, like a connection of my needs and your needs. Maybe if you're vegetarian and somebody is not, maybe you could, I'm giving you really tiny examples, but maybe you could say, okay, I'm going to make my dish, you make your dish, and there's no resentment or I'm not seen, we have to do things like you want, Maybe it can just be from the heart and respectful. And I just want to share that because, we shouldn't separate spirituality and growth from our daily life. The practice really happens in our daily life. the application, the practical application. If we don't practice practically in the tiny things in daily life, we're not implementing what we're learning. That's why those little things on a daily basis matter most. Okay? We can have the craziest breakthrough in an ayahuasca ceremony, and then you go home and you're like, and what do I do with that now? That's why integration is key. No matter if it's a breathwork session or if it's any psychedelics or whatever. Find ways to integrate what you're learning, or therapy or whatever. Find ways to integrate what you're learning in your daily life. That makes all the difference. Okay? What's your thoughts? I love you, and I hope you have a cozy end of the year. I'm really trying to upload the journal as soon as possible. Hopefully before the new year, or maybe just at the start of the new year. You can probably already enlist for the pre-launch if you want. It's also very affordable. So I wanted to create something that works for everybody and hopefully supports as many of you as possible. And little announcement, if you want to start the new year with like fresh energy and a boost of authenticity, come join me in my breathwork session. It's going to be on the 1st of January at, what time is it actually? I need to check. But it's going to be on the 1st of January. And if you cannot make it live, if you are, because of time zones, you can still join and do the replay. So it's accessible for anybody everywhere in the world. I will post below all the details for everything I talked about. All right, my lovelies. I'm gonna go home now. It's cold, and make a tea. I wish you all the love in the world. I wanted to also say thank you so much for your lovely comments and every person I get to support with whatever. It's just my absolute pleasure and joy. That's why I do it, for no other reason. And I wish you a cozy end of the year. Be soft with yourself. Yeah, softness. Find compassion for yourself. Find grace with others. And yeah, nurture yourself.